What's up guys, it's Rio LFC back with another video. Today we're going to be reviewing what happened in the round of 16 and then I'm going to be making my quarterfinal predictions for the 2026 World Cup. So let's just get right into it. For the first round of 16 matchup, we had Morocco versus Canada, where Morocco beat Canada 3-0. Despite getting off to a slow start in the first half, Morocco scored within 5 minutes of the second half thanks to a brilliant free kick from Unahi, and then later on in the second half he scored another one, and then later on Rahimi finished off the third goal for Morocco. The next match was Paraguay versus France, where France won 1-0, but I gotta say this match was absolutely frustrating to watch. The Paraguayan players were absolutely playing dirty against the French players. They just kept fouling them, and they received 0 yellow cards, which is absolutely shocking to me. Mbappe scored a penalty in the 70th minute to give France the 1-0 lead and eventually held off to win the game. But even after the game, the Paraguayan players kept wanting to fight the French players. In the next match, it was Brazil versus Norway, where Norway absolutely thrashed Brazil thanks to the likes of Erling Haaland once again. Bruno Guimaraes missed a penalty early on in the first half, and I swear people need to stop doing the stutter step technique while doing a penalty. Erling Haaland absolutely dunked on Gabriel to score Norway's first goal late in the second half, and then just before stoppage time he scored another goal to give Norway a 2-0 lead. Neymar would receive and score a penalty to get one back for Brazil in his last ever World Cup, but Norway were through to the quarterfinals. The next match was Mexico versus England in the Azteca, and I've got to say this match was actually super entertaining, and England managed to pull through with the 3-2 victory. I think a lot of people, including myself, expected England to struggle because of the altitude, but obviously it was no problem for Jude Bellingham, who scored the opener for England, and then just 1 minute later, he scored another goal to absolutely shock Mexico. Mexico would put up a good fight, but in the end, they fell short, and England were through to the quarterfinals of the World Cup. The next match was Portugal versus Spain, an absolute huge clash where Spain managed to nick a 1-0 win right at the death. In the 91st minute, it was Super Sub Mikel Merino who would score Spain's winner and to knock Portugal out of the World Cup, ending Ronaldo's dream of winning a World Cup. The next big match was the United States versus Belgium, and I've got to say this was an absolutely embarrassing performance for the United States. That first goal was absolutely embarrassing. 4 US defenders caught ball watching as Ketelare opened up the score for Belgium. But then later on in the first half, Tillman scored a deflected free kick to equalize for the United States. But then just 2 minutes later, Belgium would retake the lead from Ketelare heading in Belgium's second goal. And then US goalkeeper Matt Fries put up this absolutely bozo move to give a free goal to Belgium. And then Lukaku scored Belgium's fourth to absolutely demolish the United States. Next up, we had Argentina versus Egypt in an absolutely insane match where Argentina came from behind from a 2-goal deficit to come back and win 3-2. Egypt took the lead within the first 15 minutes to absolutely shock the world champions, but then just a few minutes later, Argentina won a penalty, but Lionel Messi missed the penalty. And I must say, shout out to the Egyptian goalkeeper because he had some pretty big saves in this game. And then in the second half, it looked like Egypt scored their second goal, but it was controversially ruled out for a foul on Lisandro Martinez. But then just a few minutes later, Egypt did score their second goal, and it looked like Argentina would go out in a shocking exit. But then with 10 minutes to go, Romero headed in Argentina's first goal, and then Lionel Messi scored the equalizer, stepping up when his team needs him most. And then in stoppage time, Enzo Fernandez headed in Argentina's winner to complete the comeback, although there was still more controversy with the potential penalty shout for Egypt. But Lionel Messi and Argentina were through to the quarterfinals of the World Cup once again. And then lastly, we have Switzerland versus Colombia, where it ended 0-0 after 120 minutes, and Switzerland advanced 4-3 on penalties. And I swear, when are we going to learn that center back should not be taking penalties? Sanchez for Colombia and Akanji for Switzerland both missed their penalties. Vargas scored his penalty for Switzerland, sending them to the quarterfinals, knocking out Colombia. Alright, so as you can see, here were my round of 16 predictions. I obviously didn't do as good as last time regarding the score lines, but I did give myself some consolation with guessing the winner correctly. So even though I got basically all the scores wrong, I did get Morocco to win correctly. France obviously won. Norway actually beat Brazil, so I don't get any consolation check marks for that one. Mexico, England. I said Mexico would win on penalties, but England ended up winning, so that's incorrect there. Spain, I guessed correctly to win, but it was 1-0. USA, Belgium, obviously stinker from US. Argentina, 3-1. Actually, I could have gotten this close if I guessed 3-2. And then Switzerland, Colombia, obviously it was 0-0, and Switzerland went through, so obviously no check mark for that prediction. So this is what the World Cup bracket looks like so far. We have France versus Morocco, a rematch of the last World Cup semi-final. Then we have Spain versus Belgium. And then Norway versus England. That should be an interesting one. Can Norway pull off the upset on England and move on to the semi-finals? And then lastly, we have Argentina versus Switzerland. Alright, so as you can see, I'm going to be doing my predictions like this. So I'm going to be giving my score predictions and then my goal scorers predictions, including what time they'll score at. So as you can see, I am predicting Mbappe to open up the scoring for France just before halftime. And then 10 minutes into the second half, I think Morocco, they've got the momentum now. And then Rahimi will equalize for Morocco. And then it's kind of like a back and forth, but I feel like France's attack is just too strong. So I think like later on in the second half, Dembele will score kind of to bring back the momentum for France. And then Olise, he's had an amazing tournament, so I feel like he is going to finally get his goal to make it 3-1 for France. But Morocco could pull off the upset against France. I think there is a good chance, but I just think France are just too strong at the moment, including their attack. So I'm going to go with the 3-1 France to win. Alright, next up is Spain versus Belgium. I just feel like Spain are just too defensively solid right now. They have 5 out of 5 clean sheets, which is absolutely insane. Belgium, although they have a lot of momentum after destroying the United States, I just feel like Spain are just too good right now. So I'm going to say Spain win 2-0. I think Oyarzabal will open up the scoring for Spain in the first half, and then in the second half it gets kind of cagey. I think Spain, they just have a lot of possession of the ball, and then I think Dani Olmo will score the second for Spain to advance to the semifinals. So yeah, I'm just going to go 2-0 win for Spain. Alright, next we have Norway versus England, a huge match. I feel like this game is going to go into extra time. How I feel the game is going to go is that Harry Kane is going to score a penalty to open up the score for England in the first half. Then in the second half, Haaland is just going to go absolutely crazy. He's going to score 2 goals for Norway to give them the lead in the second half. And then I feel like fans are going to be like, oh my gosh, Norway are going to make it to the semifinals. It's the dark horse of the tournament. They're going to knock England out. But I feel like in the late minutes of the second half, I feel like Jude Bellingham's going to score an amazing goal to equalize for England to keep them alive in the tournament. And then in extra time, I feel like Marcus Rashford is going to score that go-ahead goal for England to ultimately win them the game. And then I feel like Norway are just all tired at that point. So England are going to hold on for the 3-2 win. So I think England are going to win 3-2 in extra time. Alright, then lastly we have Argentina versus Switzerland. I feel like Argentina, they're going to be locked in now. It's the quarterfinals. They've had 2 close games in a row versus Cabo Verde and Egypt. So I feel like Argentina, they're now locked in. They're not going to be underestimating their opponents anymore. I'm going to go with the 3-1 win to Argentina. I think Messi's going to score a brace. He's going to open up the scoring for Argentina. And then I feel like late, kind of like midway through the second half, I think Switzerland will get the equalizer, and then people will start to believe that Switzerland can pull off the upset against Argentina. But then Messi, a few minutes later, is just going to score again for Argentina to regain the lead. And then, like, a substitute will come on, Julian Alvarez, and I feel like Alvarez will get that 3rd goal for Argentina to seal the win for Argentina. So, yeah, I'm going to go with a 3-1 win to Argentina. Alright, as you can see, here are my predictions for the quarterfinals of the World Cup. And as always, thanks for watching. Leave a like and comment down below your predictions and whether you agree with mine or not, as per usual. And I'll see you guys after the quarterfinals are over for my semifinal predictions. So yeah, see you guys next time. Bye!